Hi everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to today's video. So today's video is going to interrupt my vlog for the Oasis of the Seas spring break cruise because we got some big news of a Disney Vacation Club. So I haven't actually posted any Disney Vacation Club news lately. I do have a podcast. It's not my podcast. I am a co-host of the DVC Newscast, and we usually cover all DVC news or Disney news on the podcast. And I use this channel for more for vlogging, but the big news with the new villas at Disneyland Hotel in California came out today, and I just really wanted to do a video because I kind of want to talk. There's a lot of information. A lot of information came out, and when these villas were announced, it was like, we are in, we are buying, I'm all in, and now I'm kind of like, I don't know. So let's get into it. Okay, so first up, the news, and a lot of this I am getting from dvcnews.com. Now, a lot of this was announced other places, but that's where I am kind of reading a lot of the information because that's where I get a lot of my DVC news. So the villas at Disneyland Hotel sales open May 2nd for current members and then May 30th for first-time buyers. So I and my family are owners, so we can actually purchase on May 2nd. The dates have been announced for the start of the sale of the Disney Vacation Club's newest destination. And now the base price, and there was speculation, the base price is starting at $230 a point. Now, a lot of people had speculated $250. And I kind of was almost thought like, they might even go to $250. I was hoping a little bit less, but we all knew it was going to be over $200. But $230 is where it is estimated, and that's where the rumor is. Nothing official has come out, but that is the rumor. Now there are some discounts. So if you purchase like $150, they give you like an incentive and they get, $2 off a point. So it could be a little bit less. However, for the amount of points that we would get, we're not going to get any incentives. Usually the incentives start at a minimum 100 points, but my guess it's going to be 125 to 150 is where the incentives start. My family and I are looking at 50 points. Like that's kind of, especially at 230. Because we live in Florida. We have easy access to Walt Disney World, but we've gone to Disneyland a couple times. We've gone twice with our son, once in 2019 and once in 2021, and we loved it. It's definitely a different experience. It's like similar, but it's different. I feel like more magical. It's kind of corny, but it's true. And the one time we stayed at Grand Californian in points, and then the last time we stayed at the Hilton, which was still great. But it wasn't as special as staying on site at the Grand Californian. So we had kind of been like, yes, 50 points is kind of where we're at, kind of probably what we need to go every 2 or 3 years to fly out to California to do a trip. Because we would probably make it 5 or 6 nights, do other things in California, and probably go in January, go see Monster Energy Supercross in Anaheim. There's 2 races. That's how I get my husband out there. So that's what we're kind of thinking. So definitely not doing more than 50 points at this price, but there won't be any incentives at that price either. Okay, so let's say we're going to do 50 points. It's 230. That is $11,500. Okay. So, $11,500 for 50 years. Okay. That's, and going out to California. Now that would probably be, let's say every 3 years. That's probably about 15 or 16 trips out to California if we were doing, like a week. But okay. So 11,000, that's okay, but that's fine. So that's not unexpected, but that's not all you're paying. So right now, the dues are estimated at $9.06. So that means you're going to be paying $9.06 every year. And then the transient sales tax. Now, this is something that's kind of thrown the whole DVC community in a loop. That is $2.73 per point. So I didn't know what a transient sales tax is. Evidently, this is what you're going to pay when you stay at the new villas at at Disneyland. So they do have it. It's something that's in California, I think also in Hawaii, but in California it's incorporated into the dues. But so the $9.06 is going to be separate. The $2.73 is only when you stay. So if I were to use our Saratoga Spring points and I was able to get, a few nights at the Disneyland Resort, then I would pay that transient sales tax when I stay. However, if I had the villas points from California and then I stayed in Walt Disney World, then I wouldn't pay the transient tax. It's only when you use your points there. So that's something that's interesting. It's something different. So if you are buying, which we would be buying 50 points to purchase and to stay at the villas at Disneyland, we would plan to pay that, $2.73. So let's do some math here. We're going to have $9.06 a point every year, and that's only going to go up. And then you're going to have, 9.06 plus 273. So in addition, I will be paying $11.79 for the 50 points every year. So that's an additional $589.50. Now, again, 50 years. So you think, okay, 50 points is going to get me 3 nights, 4 nights if I were to go every year. 589 is probably one night, right? That's right now. That's probably one night at Disneyland Hotel if you're lucky. So yeah, it kind of comes out. But what is it going to be in 50 years? So that's kind of where, when the Grand Californian came out, it was hard to sell. Nobody bought it because everybody thought it was a bad deal. And now people that sold and purchased it then and sold, they tripled their money and able to use it in the meantime. So I'm kind of going back and forth on this one because I could use our points. There's going to be a lot more rooms. I could use our points at the Disneyland Hotel and try. We're only going to go every 2 or 3 years. I could try and get it. Or I could even, try and rent points and go every couple of years. And, maybe because, as it is, it's going to be almost $12. And that's before, that's just now. So in 5 years. But again, right now, the going rate for rentals is, I don't even know, it's maybe $20 or $22 a point. I haven't rented points in a very long time, so I'm not 100% sure, but it's up there. But you're not having to shell out $11,000, $12,000 up front because that's $11,500, but then there's also fees involved. So you're going to shell out over $12,000. I don't know. This has kind of taken me, we were all in, and now with everything that came out today, I'm kind of like, oh, maybe not. Okay, so the other thing that's going to be interesting about the new villas at the Disneyland Hotel is it doesn't appear that parking is going to be included. Now, that's something that is included with DVC when you stay at Walt Disney World. And it is, we drive to Walt Disney World. We would obviously fly to California. However, we do rent a car because you can't take, one, there's no more Magical Express at Walt Disney World either. But it's not easy to get from LAX to Anaheim. So when we stayed there, we did rent a car and we had a car and we were able to park. Now the parking lot was across the street. It's nothing like it is at Walt Disney World, but we were able to have our, a car, an easy to, access to us. And we did go to Monster Energy Supercross when we were out there at the Grand Californian, and we were able to take our car and take it to Anaheim Stadium, or Angel Stadium, no problem. So the lack of parking, that would prevent us from doing that or would just add an extra cost because, I know at Walt Disney World, it's $26 a car a night. In California, I think it's going to be a lot more, right? I don't know what the parking is, but if it's not included in your stay with the DVC points, that just adds on another cost. So you were talking about, almost $12 a point for staying there, every year, and then the transient tax and then the parking, starting to add up. Okay, so dvcnews.com has a really good article about the transient tax because honestly, I don't really understand it. It is called the Transient Occupancy Tax to be billed during stay. That's the name of the article. So I'm going to post a link to this article below, but I'm going to read a little bit of it. And it says, guests staying in the villas at Disneyland Hotel using DVC will be required to pay an Anaheim city lodging tax based upon the cost and length of their stay. The states of Hawaii and California both have transient occupancy tax on the books. While DVC point stays are not subject to typical hotel taxes, transient occupancy taxes apply to a wider range of temporary accommodations, including timeshares. In the case of Aulani DVC villas, the tax has always been charged to guests during their stay at the resort. The amount of the fee is based on a complex calculation, which includes the annual dues rate, number of points required, and a lot of other stuff. So the villas at Disney's Grand Californian, now it's incorporated into their dues. So newly released documents for the villas at Disneyland Hotel indicate a different approach is planned. A disclaimer printed on the resort's point charts reads as follows. For all stays at the villas at Disneyland Hotel, the city of Anaheim imposes a nightly transient occupancy tax based on the number of vacation points required for the stay. This tax must be paid by checkout. The amount of the tax will vary from year to year and the tax rate is subject to change. This disclaimer suggests that the transient occupancy tax will not be included with annual dues and will instead be payable during the stay, similar to Aulani. So again, if you are staying on points but you are staying on your Saratoga Spring points, you're going to have to pay that transient tax. If you have the villa points, but you're staying in Walt Disney World, you won't have to pay the tax. So it's really good, I think, for people in California who might use the points for, Walt Disney World. But again, it's just the cost is adding up. So it's not just $230 a point. It's now the dues, which are expensive at over $9. And then this transient tax, which is almost $3. And then add in the parking, it's not really looking like a deal anymore, or it's not really looking cost effective anymore. At least not, I don't know. I'm unsure. And finally, there will be resale restrictions. So the resale restrictions that are implemented for the Riviera, where if you sell your contract, the people that repurchase your contract can only use it at that resort, so that home resort. Now, I think this is going to be less of an issue for the villas at Disneyland Hotel because I think a lot of people are purchasing them to use them specifically at Disneyland because there's just very few rooms. However, I think it's something to consider because you are not going to be able to resell your contract at $230, at least not early on. At least I don't think. I could be wrong. And that's where I'm thinking maybe if I want to purchase these points, maybe I'll just wait for a resale contract in a year or two. I don't know. But that is something to consider, that the resale restrictions, now I always thought they would be applied to this resort, but they are going away. They're here and they're going to apply to the villas at the Disneyland Hotel. Okay, so now before I give you my final thoughts, let's go ahead and take a look at the point charts and do some side-by-side comparisons. I'm mainly going to compare the deluxe studios because I think that's where most people are kind of aiming. I'll take a look also briefly at the 1 bedrooms and the 2 bedrooms. Now, I will say for the 1 bedroom and the 2 bedrooms, it seems to be a better value at the Disneyland Hotel. However, for the studios, sometimes it is actually cheaper to stay at the Grand Californian, which has private entry into the Disney's Grand California Adventure, and it's just closer to the parks. So the studios, it's kind of hit or miss, and that's what we're looking at. We're looking at studios, 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms, and then I didn't even look at that's out of my price range. But yeah, it's definitely it's a mixed bag. So let's take a look at those point charts. Okay, so here are the 2 point charts for 2024 for the new villas at Disneyland Hotel and the existing villas at the Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa. So there are a few, like for 2023, here they are. It's only 3 months. So we're not going to look at that, but let's just look at 2024. And Disney's Grand Californian has 4 time periods. So it has only 4 breakups, travel periods, but the Villas at Disneyland is going to have 7. This is very much like the Walt Disney World. So there's one major difference. So you're not going to be able to compare, apples to apples. You're going to have to kind of look at the different time periods and when your family plans to travel. So let's just go ahead and take a look at January, because January is the one of the cheaper times to travel. And we're not going to look at the Duo studios. We're going to look at the deluxe studios. So right here, let's go back to 2024. It keeps switching back. So 2024, we have a standard is going to be 13 points, and I don't know which view that is, but I guess that's Park View is 15 points, whereas the Disney's Grand Californian is 17. So right there, it's going to be less. And then Friday and Saturday, it's 16 and 19, where at the Grand Californian, it's 22. So right there, that's a big difference. But that is only for the month of January. And then this goes into February 24th. So let's go look to February, which goes from February to March 14th. And then it has 17 and 20. So there we're getting a little bit, even. And then on Saturdays, Fridays and Saturdays, it's going to be 20 and 24. And here it's right in the middle, 22. So there's no views at Grand Californian. So very similar. But obviously Grand Californian, you have entrance to the park. The back entrance to Disney's California Adventure. It's closer. Just definitely a better location. Obviously, we haven't seen the resort yet at Disneyland, the villas at Disneyland Hotel. Let's take a look now at the next time period, which is going to be April 7th through June 23rd. And that is going to be... Let's see here. It will be April 7th. Okay. So right here, April 1st to April 30th. And there we have, it's 24 and 27. Whereas here, it is 20 and 24. So it is definitely a lot more. That's Fridays and Saturdays, it's 24, where Fridays and Saturdays, it's 27 and 30. So if you travel in the month of April, it's going to be more points for you to travel at the stay at the villas at Disneyland Hotel, right there. The same would go for, that's April. So that's pretty much all of April. Okay, now May would be up here. So we have 15 and 18. So if you travel in the first 3 weeks of May, it will be cheaper because it's 20 and 24, whereas here it is 15 and 18 for the Sunday through Thursday, and then 18 to 22. So it's cheaper in the month of May. So it really just depends on when you are traveling. So it really is going to depend on your family. Let's take a look now at another time. Now, an easy time to compare is October 4th through the 25th. So October 4th through the 25th right here. And then in this, on the villas at Disneyland, it will be October 1st to the 25th. So October 4th to the 25th, it's going to be 20 and 24 points. So 20 Sunday through Thursday. And then here it will be 23 for a standard, 20 and 23 for a standard. So it'll be the same in a standard, but it will be more for a park view. And then for Friday and Saturday, it will be 23 and 26. So one less point for Fridays and Saturdays, but more points for a park view. So again, it's close, but they really mixed it up so that it's not an even for even split. They didn't copy the point charts. It's very different. And then let's go ahead and look at Christmas. So we have the 20th through the 30th first, and then here we have the 18th through the 31st in the villas at Disneyland, and then villas at Californian is the 20th to the 31st. So we're going to have Sunday through Thursday is 30. And then here, Sunday through Thursday is 28, but then the park view is going to be 31. And then for Fridays and Saturdays, it's 31, whereas here it's 37. So the Grand Californian is definitely more for for the most part, especially for this time of year. And even if you're in a park view, it's only one more point than the other days, but then it's 3 less points for Fridays and Saturdays. And another easy way to look is just looking at the week. So you can just look at the weekly total. That's going to make it very easy for you to look. So again, January, it would cost you 97 points in a standard deluxe studio, whereas a park view is going to be 113 points. In the Grand Californian, it is 129. So it's definitely going to be less at the Disneyland Hotel during the month of January as a whole for a week stay. Then we move down to, let's see, the let's look at the last week of the year. So the last week of the year, it's going to be 224 in a deluxe studio at Grand Californian. But if you were staying in the Disneyland Hotel, it would be 202 in a standard, 223 in a in the park view. So again, a little bit less, but then we're going to go up to, let's see, April, the month of April, it would cost you, so let's say you're going to stay here the second week in April. Here at the Grand Californian, a deluxe studio would cost you 148 points, but the second week in April would cost you 174 points in just a standard view, and then 195. So significant increase. Let's go ahead and take a look at the summer, since the summer is what a lot of people stay. So we're going to look at the month of June. So let's compare the month of June. June, let's say second week in June would cost 167. At the Disneyland Hotel, 188 in a park view, but in here it would cost you 148 at Disney's Grand Californian. So really depends on when you're staying, when you're going, because that's really going to make the huge difference. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the one bedrooms. For the most part, the one bedrooms are going to be a little bit cheaper. So as far as point wise, now there is only one category in the 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. So there is no other, category. So January, let's look at January. It's going to be $224 for a week. Most of January is $235 at the Grand Californian. So it is a little bit cheaper for the most part, depending on when you're staying. But if you look at May, so May here, May 1st to the 22nd, a one bedroom is going to be $245. However, May over here, it's going to be $291. So again, it's going to be like 46 points cheaper. So that's really good. However, if you look at April 1st through the 30th, it's 310 points. Again, April for the most part is 291 at the Grand Californian. So there, if you're going, the second, third, or fourth week of April, it's going to be more points than if you were to stay at the Grand Californian. Obviously, this is just basing on the week. So it really just depends, because there's the time frames, the travel periods are different. Let's take a quick look at the 2 bedrooms. Again, the 2 bedrooms for the Disneyland in the January is $321, whereas the 2 bedroom at the Grand Californian is $342. Let's look at May again. May is the second cheapest. It's $772. I'm sorry, it's $363. And then May here is going to be $390. So it's considerably more. But then we're going to go down to the April, which 2 bedroom is $475, and that's going to be this one right here is $526. So again, still cheaper. And then even the most expensive week is $594, and while in the Grand Californian is $646. So when you get into the 2 bedrooms, it looks to be, unless I compared every single week, it looks to be cheaper at the Disneyland Hotel. However, the villas, the deluxe studios is where the point difference is not, sometimes it's going to cost you more and sometimes it's going to cost you less. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the point charts comparison. So are we going to buy? I don't know. Definitely not on May 2nd. I will tell you that. We were really excited to purchase at least a 50-point contract. At this point, I'm kind of, let's just take a step back. Hopefully we will, but maybe we'll buy resale. Maybe we'll buy, eventually. I don't think there's going to be any incentives for a 50-point contract, but this has definitely made me and our family take a pause, right? One, we just don't have $12,000 to shell out right now anyway. So it's probably, that's not probably not a bad thing anyway, but the added cost and just the 230 points, okay, that was kind of expected, but then everything else, it's just kind of like, I don't know if this is a really good value. And that's why you purchase DVC. It's not just to have the vacations, but it's supposed to be a good value. And right now I'm kind of like, let's take a pause. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a pause. We're going to see. There's a lot of information. All this information came out today. Now I do encourage, I do have, like I said, I am a co-host of the DVC Newscast. We're going to be recording an episode probably the next day or so and talking about this. I'm hoping to be able to join that, but I think that's probably going to be the one where we have the most people on. So if you are, you have iTunes or any podcasts or anywhere podcasts, it is DVC Newscast. And, also listen to that all the time anyway, but we'll be talking about this. So if you're interested in that, it's probably going to be episode 107. I'll post a link to the episode once it's up. It'll be in the description box below, but I don't know, we're going to take a pause, but let's go ahead and break down the specifics. Starting point is going to be $230 a point. The dues right now are going to be $9.05 a point. Then there's going to be a $2.73 a point transient occupancy tax based on length of stay. The expiration date is going to be January 31st, 2074. I'll be 98. No, I'll be 97. I'll be 97. That's depressing. I'll probably be dead. But important dates, it goes on sale to DVC members on May 2nd. It goes on sale to the general public on May 30th. The first day DVC direct contract holders can book is May 16th. And then the first day all DVC owners can book is going to be July 27th. So incentives will probably launch on May 2nd. So with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.